Oh yeah, I'm starting up on this screen, I guess. Okay, cool. That's fine. Hey, it's your good friend, it's your pal, it's your compadre, it's TC, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the big show. We are here every Monday through Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. That is 5 Central Time Zone and 3 on the West Coast of America. And yeah, we're talking everything rock, which includes a little metal, of course, because hey, little metal in your a little metal up your ass, as Metallica would say, is not such a bad thing. Unless you end up in the emergency room and nobody wants that. So, anyways, what's going on in the big show today? Well, we're going to relive the past with actually a bunch of shows from 1985. We'll pick which one is the best. And then, as well, we're going to feature. I'm trying to be conscious of me saying as much. So that's why I'm like thinking while I'm talking. So I'm not saying because nobody wants that, especially me, because it kind of annoys me when I'm listening back. Not that it's a big deal, it's just I want to do better. So there you go. However, here we go. So we're going to do a showdown, a throwdown from yesterday. Because in history on September 8th, there's not a lot of great records that were released. All due respect, there's some stuff. But yesterday, there was one from Metallica and one from Queensryche. So I figured I'd feature that. Plus, we'll do most hated and most overrated bands, specifically the songs, but more so the bands. Coming up a little later. And then there's a bunch of vinyl announcements I want to get to, and then a bunch of concert announcements I want to get to. And the news, which features Ozzy, a little Godsmack, Sully, Irma, and then also a little Damn Yankees. And finally, Chris Holmes, formerly of Wasp, has some very, very, very fun opinions. So anyways, I always like to get the party started by reliving the past, and it starts with this bad boy. It is, it's over here on my right side. So I'm going to have to, actually, I should just do this. Hang on, let me move that over there for the moment, and then we'll keep going. Oh, that didn't work out so well. Let me try that again. There you go. All right, cool. So this happened in 1985. So kind of a good set list of tours here, in my humble opinion, a good grouping of tours. Iron Maiden and Twisted Sister on the World Slavery Tour. Getting away with that title in 1985. Probably going to be okay, I suppose. Getting away with it in 2025, that's not going to happen these days. But anyways, they're on the Power Slave Tour with Twisted Sister. Pretty good show, Long Beach Arena. Also, Sammy Hagar and Zebra. I love Sammy. I don't really know any Zebra songs. Who's Behind the Mask? Is that a Zebra song? I'm not even sure. Kiss and Queensryche. Ooh, now that is interesting to me. The Kinks and the Blasters. Okay, the Kinks are cool, and they were still cool in 85. And then Triumph is the last show there. And obviously this is set in Los Angeles. So if I had to pick one show, if you had to pick one show, which one would you go and see? Iron Maiden would be so cool. Twisted Sister, I'm very indifferent on. Sammy Hagar and Zebra, I'd probably pass on that one. The Kinks and the Blasters, not my cup of tea. Triumph, same thing. So I'd actually go with Kiss and Queensryche, because seeing Queensryche that early in the game in 1985 would be super cool. And then Kiss, that would have been the Asylum tour, I believe, just after Animalize album from 1984. So I'd probably go with Kiss. I've never seen Kiss, so that would be a cool band to see. Of course, I've never seen Iron Maiden or Twisted Sister either, so there's that. But so there you go. My good friend Beat After Beat, how you doing? Good to see you. Very nice. And Beat After Beat already has gone, back 40 years ago, went to the World Slavery Tour. So that is super cool. Armageddon hanging out with us as well. Armageddon, I guess we would go to the same show. So there you go. Happy belated birthday to Jenny. Of course, she celebrated a birthday on Saturday. Very cool. But yeah, I guess we'd go arm in arm to Kiss and Queensryche. Of course, that's if you'd go with me. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Zebra, Who's Behind the Door. I knew it was something like that. So there you go. All right, cool. All right, let's get to some news. Starts with the Ozzy performance. So Jen and I caught this live last night. That's the only thing we really watched from the MTV Video Music Awards. I know that Post Malone did something with Jelly Roll. I saw that briefly. And then there was Mariah Carey being honored, and she could barely walk on stage because of the high heels and stuff. It was just like, come on, girl. And then we saw a younger performer named Alex Warren do, I think, a song called Ordinary that's been really popular this year. And it's just always so weird to me that everything has to be a spectacle these days when it comes to pop music. It can't be just a guy out there singing a song. It's got to be like 35 other people dancing around, doing their thing. It's just like, come on, man, come on. I don't get it. I guess maybe they're battling for the entertainment value, and the bigger the spectacle, the better it is. But in my mind, it's not. It's just like, give me a guy with a guitar, let him sing his song, and then boom, let it rock the world instead of some gigantic production that is just like, what the hell is this crap that it takes away from the song? So anyways, I digress. In fact, in some ways, MTV should just be playing the videos, right? I mean, if it's the Video Music Awards, you play the videos. That's what people want to see. Anyways, I digress. So anyways, Aerosmith. Well, 2/5 of Aerosmith. Steven Tyler and Joe Perry were there. They did Mama, I'm Coming Home together. And then Youngblood did Crazy Train with Nuno Betancourt. And then also came in later on for Mama, I'm Coming Home. All in all, I think it was a pretty good performance. As Jen said, I think it was Jen said this. You said this, right, Jenny? You said that, it wasn't an Aerosmith song, so maybe Steven Tyler just wasn't feeling it as much because it's Ozzy. I know he's a contemporary in some ways, though Aerosmith obviously came on the scene after Ozzy. I guess we equated it to like Def Leppard covering Van Halen, as opposed to Def Leppard covering David Bowie or Queen, who were more influential when the bands were growing up together. So, but all in all, it was pretty good. And Aerosmith, very nice. And so it was just 2 songs, but I think they got about 10 minutes of screen time. So that was pretty cool, in my humble opinion. What's funny about this is that Sully Irma weighed in as well, and thank you for the ad there, by the way, Blabbermouth. Sully Irma weighed in, says Aerosmith needs a comeback and play a few farewell concerts. You can't go out with an Instagram post. I concur indubitably, Sully. That is 100%. Maybe next year we'll get a back to the beginning type Aerosmith show. I think that would be super cool. I know there would be a lot of bands lined up to perform at an Aerosmith kind of last concert, and then knock on wood, nobody passes away. Obviously, like Ozzy unfortunately did 3 weeks after the back to the beginning. So very, very nice. You like Chris Holmes of Wasp? Well, he's got an opinion on some things. I think this is a great quote here. In a recent interview, he said, I'd rather go to a Van Halen party, drink Schlitz malt liquor, and get your teeth knocked out, regarding whether he'd rather listen to Eddie Van Halen or Randy Rhoads. So he's cutting it 100% to Eddie there. Chris Holmes actually says, to me, Van Halen smokes him. So I'm not going to say he's wrong. Randy Rhoads is a hell of a guitarist, and I know he's immortalized because, unfortunately, we lost him young in that plane crash. But that's what happens. As I've always said, if Eddie Van Halen, so we look at Kurt Cobain as a reference. Kurt Cobain goes into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Nirvana goes into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as soon as they are eligible. I get that. Van Halen has to wait 7, 8, 10 years to go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, if Eddie would have did something similar to himself as Kurt Cobain did, unfortunately, back in what was that, 94, 95, then I'm guessing after 2 albums or 3 albums, Van Halen would have gone right into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But we got a chance to hear Diver Down. We got a chance to hear Van Halen 3. And that turned some people off. And, it taints your legacy a little bit to release kind of subpar records, I should say. As where with Kurt Cobain, we never really got a subpar record. Eventually, everybody makes crappy music. It's just one of those things. Every band that stays around Now, of course, Randy Rhoads, we never got to hear any of Randy's kind of lesser music. Not to take anything away from Randy, like I said. Love Randy Rhoads. I mean, my God, Ozzy had just a jackpot of guitarists between Randy Rhoads and Jakey Lee and Zakk Wylde and, well, of course, Tony Iommi to start. So I don't know. It's a kind of a funny quote, and it's very unlike someone in the rock and roll community to kind of go out there that far. And I kind of appreciate it. If somebody would have said, hey, Randy Rhoads smokes Eddie Van Halen, I'm okay with that too. So there you go. What do you think? Who would you rather listen to, Eddie Van Halen or Randy Rhoads? Let me know. And then finally in the news today, there was kind of a Damn Yankees reunion this past weekend in, Michigan? Very nice, with our friend Jack Blade and Night Ranger being joined on stage by the Motor City Madman, Mr. Ted Nugent. They did Coming of Age, so very cool. That would have been super cool to see live. A Damn Yankees reunion. I don't know. If we haven't gotten it by this point, I don't know if we're ever going to get it. I don't know if it's politics. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like Tommy Shaw is kind of cool with Ted Nugent. So I don't know what it is. It would be just so cool to, I mean, wouldn't that be a cool triple bill? Damn Yankees, Styx, Night Ranger going on the road together. I'd love that. So there you go. All right, cool. Let's jump out of there. Let me swing this screen over here, and we'll, as they say, check the chat. Why haven't you checked the chat? Because you need to. So there you go. Beat after beat. You're going Randy Rhoads over Eddie Van Halen? That is very interesting. Very, very interesting. And then as far as reliving the past, beat after beat has taken Sammy and Zebra. Wow. Interesting. But I guess if you've seen, I get that. If you've seen Iron Maiden on the Power Slave tour, then it's super cool in that aspect. So very nice. All right. Our battle today is none other than two records from yesterday, because in history, okay, Rush Hold Your Fire came out today, but do I really want to skip over the fact that And Justice for All came out on Sunday? Well, yesterday, September 7th in the history of vinyl? No, I don't. Plus, Queensryche released The Warning, ironically, so they would have been touring with Kiss on that tour for The Warning, which would have been their second album. I guess the first full-length album. Of course, the first record was the EP with Queen of the Reich on it, which I love Queen of the Reich. So there you go. Tail of the tape. What is the tail of the tape here? Queensryche sold over 1 million copies. That's pretty damn good for back then. Came out September 7th, 1984. The big songs on there. Well, kind of the big song to me is Take Hold of the Flame. That was kind of their big radio hit. Warning, good song. Child of Fire, also a good song. But to me, Take Hold of the Flame, definitely the best song off of the record. Versus a little album, of course, the first without Cliff Burton, after Cliff Burton had passed away or died, as you'd put it, in the bus crash. So yeah, Randy Rhoads dying in a plane crash against a bus, and then of course Cliff Burton dying in a I don't know what I'm doing. See, I said again, and I caught myself doing and I didn't want to do that. So anyways, obviously, there I did it again. Boom. Cliff Burton passing away in the bus crash. So to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, who do you got? I mean, Metallica, there's no bass on that record. Of course, this was Jason Newsted's first record. Still love it. And even when they put the bass back into the record, it's just, because people will do that on YouTube. They'll upload videos of like people putting bass back into that record, and it still kind of sounds the same. I get it. I don't have any, I know I was kind of on the bus, maybe a wrong analogy to use given the topics today with Cliff and Randy Rhoads. But, I was on the train, we'll call it that, and of putting bass back into the record. But now I'm like, nah, take it. I just want it as it was. I think it was fine 37 years ago, and I'm good with that. Over 8 million copies sold. Once again, Metallica has never done a greatest hits like System of a Down, like Pink Floyd, like AC/DC. So you know what happens? Their catalog records, the old records continue to sell. So Master of Puppets came out. One, obviously the big single. That song freaked me out when it came out because it was just like the video. I mean, can you imagine being trapped in your own head and you can't do anything else? I mean, that happens to us, I guess, nightly, dreaming in some ways. I had oh my God, I had a Metallica dream last night. I had a dream that I was trying to revive Lars and James, and I did get them revived, like they had passed out or something because of some reason, and I was reviving them. I don't know where we were. It was in some place. And I was doing not the Heimlich maneuver, but the chest compressions, and they came back to life. So, anyways, this is what's in my head. This is why I don't want to be stuck in my head like the guy in the one video, right? Harvester of Sorrow, which I think is a fantastic song. Eye of the Beholder is so damn good. Shortest Straw, I would say, and Justice for All, the title track is really good too. I mean, one is probably my least favorite song off the record, maybe because it got played so much, but still, I love it. I love it. Indeed, beat after beat. It is a tough matchup today because Queensryche and, OG Queensryche and sort of OG, there's kind of, Metallica had that run of, the first four albums, concluding with And Justice for All. Then they had the next four, which was the Black Album through, I guess, Garage Days, Inc., along with Load and Reload. And then they went into another phase after that. But yeah, definitely those first two phases of Metallica are, of course, my my favorite. Why can't you have dreams like that? I don't know. I mean, my dreams are just insane beat after beat. They're crazy, Me trying to revive James and Lars, that's just too bizarre in my humble opinion. I didn't want it. So I'm going Metallica all the way. Seems that, I have the choice, and boom, there you go. Also, Rick Davies, Jen mentioned Rick Davies of, what was it, Supertramp? Passed away, unfortunately. And I know Jen is a big Supertramp fan. I didn't put that in my notes today, but what was it? Goodbye Stranger. I think that was probably my favorite song of Rick from Supertramp that did that song. So very nice. So there you go. Cool. Very nice. I missed anything else? No, I'm going to keep going. All right, cool. Let's see. New vinyl announcements today. Modest Mouse is getting a reissue of this bad boy. That comes out, I think, in October release. Also, Duff McKagan has a live record coming out called Lighthouse. Well, the band is called Lighthouse, and it's live from London. So I know that Duff McKagan does a lot of, let me see here, Duff. He's very much a punk guy, so his stuff sounds very punk. So let's see if I can find, there you go. I'm just looking for it really quickly right here. Lighthouse play. Yeah, I mean, it's very punky. And I guess some of the live stuff, there's going to be some covers in there because, hey, punk covers are really cool. Speaking of punk covers, I don't think anybody does covers better than Metallica in some ways, man. That band is fire when it comes to punk covers. Olivia Rodrigo, if you like the kind of a little bit rockier side of pop music, BBC recording of a little live show, 2 LP on color vinyl. Speaking of pop music, I was looking at the Spotify top 50. There's only one hip hop song on the top 50 today, which is kind of amazing. So I don't know if hip hop has kind of had its run because it had a hell of a run, like rock had its run, and then rock's been kind of missing for the last 20, 25 years in some ways. So, and pop music will always be in the top 50, but maybe we'll get rock music coming back on. So it's mostly, I would say it's probably like 80% pop music, and then maybe a little 20%, maybe 10% of country music, and then some OG classic stuff like Radiohead, Creep, Fleetwood Mac, Goo Goo Dolls. That's the kind of stuff that's in the Spotify top 50 these days. So there you go. All right. And then what else? Oh, how about this? This is going to cost you $60. $60? What, are you crazy? I mean, the color of the vinyl is super cool, but I don't know if I'd ever pay $60 for an Elton John record, but that is getting reissued, and that is, yeah, that is crazy prices. And then Blur is getting a reissue of The Great Escape, and that's kind of cool. So there you go, $45 if anybody's interested in that one. That's coming out. So I came up with a list of the most hated versus most overrated bands of all time. You can tell me if I'm crazy, if I'm taking crazy pills or not. I definitely think these are the 5 most hated bands of all time, though. I'm going Nickelback, of course, because everybody loves to crap on Nickelback. Creed, people love to crap on Creed. Limp Bizkit, I mean, maybe that's fair in some ways, and they have a sense of humor about themselves. So, okay, Limp Bizkit, definitely a kind of a love-hate band. Imagine Dragons is kind of a band that people love or hate. There's no kind of in between. And then Coldplay, also a band that people kind of love and hate. No in between there. Now, to me, I like Nickelback. I got no problem saying I love Nickelback. I do love Creed as well. I love some of Limp Bizkit. It's cool. And then I just don't know that much about Imagine Dragons and Coldplay. I've never kind of been into that. The Coldplay scene, Chris Martin, obviously those guys, I salute. Just don't go to a show with the human resources director and start grabbing her boobs. You don't want to do that. Other than that, you know, you can do what you do with Coldplay. So there you go. And then as far as, I thought it was only fair to do the most overrated band. So you could put the Beatles on this list too, in my humble opinion, because the Beatles are slightly overrated in my humble opinion. But however, I will admit that they are probably one of the 5 greatest bands of all time. I would say Queen is probably the greatest band of all time. But so there you go. Nirvana, kind of overrated, I got to tell you, because we never got any more Nirvana music. So we never got to hear the crappy music that they would have put out. REM, come on. The critics love REM. Forget about it. No, not interested. Losing My Religion. Oh, it's like one of the worst songs of all time. I hate that song. U2, I love U2, but they've kind of wore out their welcome, including taking a great song like One and bastardizing it so many different times at so many different award shows over the last 30 years, in my humble opinion. Radiohead, I know even Tom York doesn't like the song Creep, but I put Creep there. But I know a lot of people think that Radiohead is overrated. And then the Smiths, which I would disagree with. I do like the Smiths. The more I hear of the Smiths, I mean, there's issues with the Smiths. Don't get me wrong, man. And some of the lyrics are just bizarro world, but there you go. So that's my most hated versus my most overrated. Did I miss anybody? Should there be somebody on the most hated list that isn't on the list? Should there be somebody on the most overrated list that isn't on the list? So there you go. There you go. Beat After Beat concurs with me. I never hated Creed. I dug Creed. I think a lot of the hate for Creed came from the Seattle people, the people that love the Seattle sound, because it was like, oh, it sounds like Eddie Vedder. Well, he just happens to have a voice similar to Eddie Vedder. I don't think he's trying to sound like Eddie Vedder. Maybe he is a little bit. Scott Stapp, I'm referencing there, but I got no problem with that. Plus, you know, Creed rocks. Mark Tremonti in the rhythm section there, man, they can blow, man. Those guys are really, really good. So, and Nickelback even, you know, I was kind of indifferent on Nickelback. They did Dark Horse, and I really love that record because Mutt Lange produced it. So, and then I've gone back and listened to a little bit of Nickelback, but I would say, yeah, probably Creed would be my number one, at least as far as most liked instead of most hated on this list. And then it would probably be Nickelback and then Limp Bizkit. So, there you go. Not too shabby. Jen likes everything except Limp Bizkit. And I hear you, Jenny. I hear you. And Beat After Beat loves himself the Smiths and Creed. So not too shabby. All right, let's keep going. Name that tune. There you go. This is something I started last week. See if you can name this tune. Okay. So here it comes. It's at the end of a movie. That's the clue. And if you're listening to the show via podcast, I'll probably have to describe this scene a little bit. It is 2 men walking down a snow-covered street. Well, there's no snow on the street, but there's snow on the sidewalk. All the trees, there's a lot of trees on either side of the road. and they're all barren. There's no leaves because obviously it's winter. And then on the left side, there's a guy with white hair in a suit with a long overcoat carrying a suitcase. The guy on the right is a rotund fella, and he has a blue parka on, and he is carrying kind of a briefcase. And then both of them are walking down the street towards the camera, and they are holding a large trunk that I guess you'd travel around the country with. So there you go. That's the scene. Can you name the movie? Can you name the song? And then can you name the artist? So, okay, I got to be fair here. The song is by an artist that isn't in the movie. They did a cover version of the song. I don't know why the artist did not want his song included. What a mortal mistake, or if they tried to get it. So instead, they just did a cover of his song. So, but I'm looking for the name of the song and then who originally did the song. So there you go. That is the name, the tune for today. Reminder, once again, we're here every Monday through Friday starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central, and 3 Pacific. You can catch the show on YouTube anytime you want. Of course, we're live. You can comment, you can chat after the fact or during the show. And then, of course, you can find the show on Facebook as well. Hi! And then Facebook. And then, of course, it's on Spotify, video and podcasts, and then Apple Podcasts as well. So there you go. Beat After Beat knows it's planes, trains, and automobiles, though he does not know the song. Actually, and then Steve Martin, John Candy, very nice. It's actually from 1987. The movie came out in 1987. Jen says, I know the name, but we share a brain, so I don't want to say because it's too easy. Well, you're going to have to say. But since we share a brain, I'll name the song. It is Every Time You Go Away by Paul Young. Though in this particular case, it's a cover. So there you go. That is the name, the tune of the day. That is from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the great Martin Short and the great John Candy. Actually, there's a documentary by John Candy that was produced by Colin Hanks, the son of Tom Hanks. And, well, Colin Hanks directed it. And then Ryan Reynolds, of course, Deadpool himself, or Dusty Lee, if you've ever seen that movie, if you know that reference, and you're super cool. Ryan Reynolds actually produced it, and it's called I Like Me. It's a documentary about John Kerry. Not John Kerry. Nobody wants that. Oh, let me tell you about my travels. No, it's nobody wants politicians. It is John Candy in this particular case. So that's coming out, I think, on Amazon this month or next month. So there you go. Oh, and for bonus points, apparently the song by Paul Young, Every Time You Go Away, was actually written by Daryl Hall. Very nice, Jen. Very nice. Rockin' and a rollin'. All right, concerts announced. The Eagles continue to do it up in style, apparently. They're playing more shows at the Sphere in Vegas. Wow. 4 more shows added, January 23rd, 24th, 30th, and 31st, coming up in 2026. There is an what's this called? OC, I guess that stands for Ocean City, Maryland. Rock and Ride Bike Fest coming up this week. Wow, that's pretty quick. Starting on Wednesday. I don't know anybody playing on the Wednesday night. Blandini and then Jasmine Kane. It looks like that is probably. Nope, don't know that. Though Thursday, I know Slaughter. Very nice. Also Mini Kiss. These are short people who dress up in makeup and play Kiss songs. So kind of cool. Also Crack the Sky, which could be a Mastodon cover band. I'm guessing, maybe not, maybe not. Queensryche on Friday night, along with Quiet Ride. Of course, Quiet Ride is just, who is it? It's Rudy Sarzo. Carlos Cavazo is the only other living member of Quiet Ride from the classic lineup. Randy Rhoads, of course, gone too. Of course, he was an early Quiet Ride. But Carlos Cavazo, he actually plays with Stephen Pearcy and Warren DeMartini. So there you go. And then what else? And then on Saturday night, Uncle Cracker. All right. And Lit, my Own worst enemy. What's is that? Is that song? Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, you get the idea. So there you go. You looking forward to some Creedmas? This is the worst title for a shtick I've ever seen in my life. This is not good. This is why people might hate Creed. Creedmas? That's the best they could come up with? How about just Creed Christmas? You know, that would have been okay. Creed Christmas. Not too shabby, but Creedmas? Anyways, apparently they've announced 5 more shows the band Creed have, even though Alter Bridge is kind of taken over now. Alter Bridge, of course, is 3/4 of Creed. The bass player, the rhythm section, and then Mark Tremonti, the guitarist. They swap out lead singers. So, but yeah, you're going to get some more Creed this year. So Hollywood, Florida, 2 shows with, I believe, Seven Dust. And then you got Hinder, or shall we call them Hinder? I know they're Hinder, coming up in Oklahoma, Hanover, Maryland, and Connecticut. So not too shabby. But yeah, Creed Christmas would have been so much better than Creedmas. No. Anyways, I digress. So there you go. That is horrible. It is so bad. It is so bad. Anyways, there you go. Hey, you ever wanted to go to Greece with Striper? You know, I think it was Chad, one of our local favorites from Tucson, went and actually he actually toured Italy with Jeff Tate. Jeff Tate has kind of a travel agency in some ways where you can go out on the road and you can tour with Jeff Tate. In this particular case, not tour. You're basically, he's your guide on a tour of Italy. So in this case, apparently you're going to get some songs from Robert and Michael, and hopefully Oz will be there as well. And you can travel with Striper to Greece, May 11th through the 20th of 2026. So that's kind of cool. Not too shabby in my humble opinion. So there you go. And then one more thing to mention, Garth Brooks trying to reach back out to the rest of the world, I guess, in some ways. I saw an article that he's kind of alienated half of his base in some ways in recent years. But now he's going to play Milwaukee Summerfest for the first time in a long time. Well, first time ever, actually, at Summerfest in Milwaukee. That is June 17th. And that is 2026 that's coming up. So there you go. I'm guessing we'll see the reemergence of Garth and doing a bunch of touring next year. He's kind of hasn't done that much in recent years. So there you go. Jen wants to go to Greece with Striper. That'd be pretty cool, actually. And then Beat After Beat says, I would travel with Striper if I wasn't so sick. Well, there you go. Well, maybe Striper will come to you. Not too shabby, right? Play your backyard. Remember when there was that MTV contest and Van Halen got to play somebody's backyard? That'd be pretty cool. Actually, there was a contest, too, that somebody won when Jen and I were living in Minnesota, where somebody won a contest to have the Foo Fighters come over and play for a private party, but it was at an apple orchard. So, I don't know, kind of cool in my humble opinion. So there you go. That's kind of what's going on the show today. Very, very nice. George Strait is his favorite. Beat After Beat says, yeah, I love George. My mother-in-law loves George. He is a George Strait fan, if there ever was a George Strait fan. So there you go. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Jen and I are having ribeye tonight. Remnants of the birthday weekend. Go stretching into Monday. Jen loves herself some ribeye, so I'm going to make some ribeye steaks. Nice and thick ribeye steaks, too, so it'll be tasty. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow night. Same back.